Hello, fellow clear mind enjoyers. Hope you're all doing well. Today, I'm bringing you something a bit different from my usual content. I want to show you my early cooking for the freshly announced Black Rose support. Let me know if you enjoy this type of video where I test out cards before they're released in Master Duel. When the cards were first announced, I thought, yeah, this is alright. I tried out some natural combos, then experimented with support engines like White Forest and Kashtira. They worked, but it felt like something was missing. Then I thought, what if we jam the Millennium engine in here, like Snake Eyes did? And once I tested it, it felt so good. But let me first talk about the other two support engines. Let's start with White Forest engine. Why do we want to use White Forest? It synergizes very well the Rose Dragon game plan, which revolves around synchro summons of level 6 monsters and building boards using level 7 bodies for plays like Dispater, Jura, and Barone. White Forest gives us consistent level 6 synchro access and a free level 7 body. It also plays well into Fuwalos, which is a plus. If we add the Azamina package, it even adds another layer of resilience. That said, I have to point out the downsides. It uses your normal summon, and depending on your hand, getting disrupted can end your turn. It requires engine cards like Tales of the White Forest, which can brick if drawn. If you include Azamina to your list, Hollowed Azamina is an additional brick. If you try using LZ to reduce the brick to starter ratio, you'll run into discard issues. The White Forest field spell doesn't fit well because most of our main playmakers are dark, which disqualifies it as a viable starter. Conclusion, it's a viable engine with a lot of potential, but for now, it's not something I want to explore further. Then there is the Kashtira engine. This one's pretty straightforward. Kashtira provides strong, standalone bodies. It strengthens your 2-card combos, doesn't eat your normal summon, and helps when going second, which Rose Dragons often struggle with. The downside: Kashtira is format dependent. In Master Duel, it's already limited, and in the OCG it's practically dead. It doesn't start combos on its own either. Though if you know of a good line, let me know. I cover the third engine and in my opinion the best engine, Millennium, during the deck profile part. Speaking of which, let's move on to the deck profile part. The heart of the deck revolves around the Rose Dragon cards, which form the core combo pieces and define the archetype's identity. RoxRose Dragon is our go-to starter, basically the Stratos of the deck. On summon, it searches for any card that mentions Black Rose Dragon, with the usual targets being Violence Witch or Black Rose Garden. Its second effect allows it to recycle itself if a Rose Dragon or plant synchro you control is destroyed by your opponent, which might seem niche, but it's a nice piece of recursion for grind games. It's unfortunate that the effect only triggers via opponent interaction, but it's still miles better than flavor text level effects like a small ATK boost, looking at you, full speed warrior. Red Rose Dragon is another essential piece. When it's sent to the GY as synchro material, it special summons any Rose Dragon from the deck, usually RoxRose, without requiring any additional cost and without being negated, which is a big deal. If it was used to summon a plant synchro or Black Rose Dragon, you can also add a Frozen Rose or Blooming of the Darkest Rose from the deck to hand. Spoiler alert, both are terrible, and I personally don't think they're worth playing outside of discard fodder for maintaining card economy. Still, the fact that Red Rose doesn't care what you make as long as you use it as material gives it flexibility. White Rose Dragon is one of those cards that clearly shows its age. It has 3 solid effects, but power creep has left it behind. When normal summoned, it can special summon a Rose Dragon from your hand or GY. It also has the ability to special summon itself if you control a dragon or plant tuner. Unfortunately, this doesn't trigger its on-summon effect since that only works on normal summon. Its third effect allows it to foolish a level 4 or higher plant monster if it's sent to the GY as synchro material, and we usually use this to send Violence Witch. Speaking of Violence Witch, let's talk about the new cards. Violence can special summon herself if you control a monster that mentions Black Rose Dragon or the dragon itself, or if you control a plant synchro. If she's sent to the GY while you control a synchro monster, she can special summon a plant monster from the deck with 1500 or less DEF. This effect locks you into synchros, so make sure to plan around that. Her partner in crime is Twilight Rose Knight, who on summon brings out a level for all lower plant or Black Rose Dragon from GY and adjusts its level. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a special summon condition, which makes it clunkier than it should be. Black Rose Garden is arguably the best card printed for the new support. It's a rotor stapled onto a continuous floodgate that weirdly burns for damage. On activation, it searches for a Rose Dragon. Then, it continuously turns the whole field into plants, which can completely shut down decks like Fiendsmith and Yummy. Finally, when destroyed, it burns the opponent for 100 damage per plant in your GY and banished zone, and if destroyed by Black Rose Dragon, it deals an additional 2400 damage. It's wild, and it adds both utility and pressure to the deck. To help with consistency and maintain playability under Droll, I've included Lonefire Blossom. It contributes itself to summon any plant monster from the deck, great if uninterrupted, but awful into Ash Blossom. It can summon Twilight Rose Knight, which then revives something, so you can start your combo from there. It's functional, but not ideal. I'd love to find a better standalone starter that also works with Zombie Vampire. Let me know if you have ideas. We also play both versions of Spore, the original, which revives itself from the GY by banishing a plant, and Ancient Fairy Spore, which revives if you control a light plant, beast, or fairy. Both cards are important to get high-level synchros consistently. The level modulation of the Ancient Fairy Spore is very good and provides flexibility. The original Spore is an easy-to-achieve revive in the deck and provides good synergy with the Dissipator extension. Synchro Rumble fits surprisingly well here. Since we run a solid number of tuners, this card even when drawn isn't too bad. More importantly, it prevents Black Rose Dragon from nuking itself, which can preserve board presence and open better follow-up lines. Now let's talk about the engine that supports the game plan the best, the Millennium engine. Initially dismissed, it's become one of the best engines in the game, and for good reason. It kind of does everything the White Forest and Kashtira engines try to do, but without the big drawbacks. It gets a free body on board like Kashtira, and with Doom Dragon in the extra deck, it can contest the board, though not as hard as Fenrir. Its synchro utility isn't as good as Kashtira's either, but where it really shines is consistency. Thanks to cards like Zombie Vampire, this engine gives us around an 80% chance to enter a combo line from just that one setup. Unlike White Forest, it doesn't eat up the normal summon, and most importantly, it runs 0 bricks. Drawing Temple alone isn't ideal, but it's not a hard brick either, which gives the engine massive synergy and stability. That's why I think it's the best support engine for the deck. I'm not covering non-engine cards in depth because they're format dependent. Once the support officially drops, we might end up playing completely different cards depending on what's relevant. So for now, fill those slots with whatever you like if you're testing the build on MDPro or other simulators. With the main deck covered, let's move on to the extra deck. Our only fusion monster is Doom Dragon, which comes from the Millennium engine. On summon, it pushes a monster into the spell and trap zone, which sounds niche but enables some creative setups. Its main role in this deck is to provide a second body for our only XYZ monster, Zombie Vampire. This card mills from both decks and can special summon one of the milled monsters, an incredibly powerful tool that not only fuels your graveyard but also extends into combo plays. Our first synchro monster is Rose Maiden. She's not summoned often, but being level 5 makes her relevant for specific lines, especially if you open with White Rose Dragon and one of the Spores. This can lead to unexpected combo routes. More often, though, Rose Maiden ends up in the graveyard thanks to Hate Witch, the second of the new witches in the support wave. She's quite strong. She sends one plant from the main deck and one from the extra deck to the GY, offering built-in setup. She also protects your plant monsters from destruction, which is fantastic when paired with Black Garden. That way, Black Rose Dragon's nuke effect doesn't cripple your own board. Her final effect lets her special summon herself if any card on the field is destroyed, giving her strong synergy with cards like Barone or even Black Rose Garden itself. Speaking of which, The OG Black Rose Dragon is a simple but iconic board nuke. It also has a lesser-known effect where, by banishing a plant, it can switch an opposing monster from defense to attack position and set its attack to 0. This can come up in certain OTK lines. Then we run 2 copies of Bramble Rose Dragon, a newer support monster that burns the opponent for 600 each time they activate a monster effect and reduces their monster's ATK by 600 per activation. Its quick effect lets it tribute itself to summon Black Rose Dragon from your extra deck, but be cautious, Black Rose Dragon's nuke is a when effect. If you chain Bramble to something, Black Rose will miss timing and not activate. Next is the absolute MVP and my personal favorite, Diabolantis, the menacing mantis. If you know me, you know I love this guy. He's solved so many problems for me across different decks, and in this build, he's even better. On summon, he can mill a plant or insect and make any plant or insect, including himself, a tuner. This effect is versatile, consistent, and completely opens up the lines for synchro plays. For our mandatory level 9 synchro, you can run whatever fits your needs. Personally, I prefer Chow Feng, Phantom of the Yangzing. He's a light monster, which helps for lines involving Ancient Fairy Spore when Black Garden turns him into a plant. Also, his second effect lets you search any tuner when he gets destroyed, which isn't hard to trigger thanks to Baronne or Black Rose Dragon. Then we have Baronne de Fleur, the go-to level 10 synchro. Of course, she's here because she's one of the best generics available, but her utility goes beyond just being a negate. She can destroy a card on demand, which conveniently triggers Hate Witch's revival effect. And if Black Garden is on the field when she's summoned, you can special summon Violence Witch from hand and destroy her with Baronne to trigger Violence Witch's effect to special summon another plant. The interaction is clean and gives you follow-up. Dissipator is another powerhouse. He requires a dragon non-tuner to summon, but this deck can fulfill that condition easily. He's incredibly strong and flexible in his negation and revival, giving you both interruption and follow-up in one card. And while not in Master Duel just yet, I'm assuming that Jura will be released alongside the Black Rose support. Jura is a fantastic play into Fuwalos. For instance, if your opponent activates Fuwalos on your Sengenjin, you can normal summon a level 3 tuner like RoxRose Dragon and immediately synchro into Jura. This gives you a board wipe and a steady life point recovery engine, making OTKs against you much harder and enabling a potential Millennium follow-up when your opponent attacks. One of my personal copium picks is Shooting Majestic Star Dragon. To be honest, I just love this card. It has a fun synergy with Black Rose Dragon. After it negates something, it leaves the field. This way he protects himself from Black Rose Dragon. To summon it, we use Crimson Dragon, which I'm sure most of you already know well. It facilitates the climb into Majestic Star while also offering field utility depending on your line for Dissipator. The final extra deck card is Aromaseraphy Jasmine. Thanks to Black Garden, we can actually summon her reliably. She provides strong utility by tributing a monster to summon any plant from the deck, which gives us combo potential and lets us play Underdroll and Lock Bird, a common choke point in many strategies. She's worth considering for both her flexibility and consistency boost. That wraps up the extra deck, but let me show you a few interesting tech options you might want to consider. First, for the TCG players out there, don't forget that Gen X Return 0 exists. It's a potential answer to Nibiru, the primal being. Of course, you might ask, but Nibiru is light, and we don't run light monsters that hit the grave reliably. That's where Rosmarin comes in. You can foolish her with White Rose Dragon, and she can then foolish any plant monster from the main or extra deck. She's extremely versatile, though I didn't include her in the core list since the line she enables doesn't come up often enough to justify more bricks. Still, it's a cool interaction worth knowing. Then a decent light option is Ancient Fairy Dragon. We can bring it out early in most 2-card combos. He helps out if we stuck with multiple normal summons in the hand. Another tech card that can help with that issue is Circle of the Fairies. It allows you to perform an additional normal summon of a plant or fairy, which can be a huge boost in specific hands. Its second effect also helps push for game by enhancing your damage output. In the extra deck, Perialis is another interesting inclusion. She lets you special summon a level 5 or higher plant from the GY, giving you meaningful extension options for Hate Witch and Bramble Rose Dragon lines. She isn't always needed, but can be clutch in grind games or awkward hands. And we shouldn't forget about Cross Rose Dragon. It basically fulfills the same role as Jasmine, but is a bit more weird to play with. In my opinion, Jasmine will perform consistently better. For main deck techs, Mardell, Generator Boss of Light, is a standout. She searches any plant on summon and can be brought out via Lonefire, Blossom or Jasmine. Other option is Cyclose, who adds a plant or insect tuner from deck on summon. While in the grave, he can special summon himself if another plant or insect is special summoned, making him a 2-stage extender with strong utility. Lastly, we have Rose Girl. She can special summon herself from the hand if a plant is sent to the GY, and can return to the hand if there's a plant monster on the field. The downside is you can only use one of her effects per turn, which shows her age, but she still serves as a neat extender that occasionally helps with resource loops. That wraps up everything regarding the build, its engines, and extra tech options. Without further ado, let's get into the combos. As always, I stop my yapping here and will provide commentary through notes. AI voice Death Echo here again. If you're interested in seeing some gameplay of the deck, let me know, I'll try it out on MDPro. I couldn't test it properly yet since the new cards aren't available in ranked mode right now, and it's almost impossible to get good replays in regular mode. If you guys enjoyed this kind of video, let me know. Maybe next time we can even organize some community replays to feature in the next one I put together. And if you are hearing that, you guys are the real MVPs.